Let's assume, for the purposes of this thought experiment, that the Force, as in the Force in Star Wars, is real. Okay, so if you don't like Star Wars, this probably isn't the video for you. But if you're like me and you're a Gen Xer, or if you're an older millennial or a younger baby boomer, you have a fondness in your heart, especially for the first 3 movies of Star Wars. And so I believe there's a lot of though popularized, a lot of wisdom in Star Wars. I think that's why we like to watch it. I think there's a deeper message to it. And one of the things about Star Wars is there's the Force. So what if that was real? How would it work? Let's just assume it's real. And particularly the telekinesis, the moving objects with your mind. How does it work? Well, in classical physics, the way everything has to work, right, is in order to move, things have to be impacted by other things, right? There has to be some particle impacting. So if you're pushing the thing away from you, perhaps the explanation is you have a hand and you can shoot particles out of your hand and push the thing away. But how do you pull something to your hand? Your lightsaber's over there. You're about to get eaten by a snow monster. How do you pull the lightsaber to you? Do you send particles out and curve the particles somehow? Are you sending other particles to curve the particles so that it hits the back of the lightsaber so it comes into your hand? No, I don't think that's how it works. I don't think that's how the Force works. I think the Force, as hinted to in the movies, is the underlying connection between all things. That's a pretty good description of what non-duality is referring to. And that just as things move around in a dream, they have freedom of movement in a dream. You can dream really anything you want to. Maybe you don't want to dream some things, but you get my meaning. There's some amount of freedom from the laws of physics, say, in dreams. And that's because everything is coming directly from source, from the one being, from truth. Everything's coming directly. So anything could show up at any given moment. And that includes the ability to attract an object to your hand, or seen from the perspective of non-duality, there's no object and there's no hand. There's only one landscape that includes object and hand. And so there's a freedom of movement within this field of consciousness that doesn't require adherence to the laws of classical physics. So now let go entirely of the notion that the Force is real, or any reference to science fiction whatsoever. And now think about gravity. One of the primary physical forces, gravity. So gravity doesn't work by having particles impact another thing and then come and have the particles go around and bring it back to you, like some kind of elaborate billiard ball game. There's just a force. There's a force that connects two things, the sun to the earth, say. One interpretation of that is that there's a physical force. There's a planet and a star, and there's a force. There's three things: planet, star, force. And they work together in order to create these orbits and all of creation. It's an interaction between particles and forces, the whole universe. That's one interpretation. Another interpretation is, just as we were looking at the ability to attract a lightsaber, the lightsaber and the hand, the planet and the star all exist within one broader medium. And in waking life, there are certain behavior patterns. There are certain patterns that are consistent, like gravity. Non-duality doesn't negate any of that. It doesn't negate, it's not an indictment of science. Science tells us how things work, particularly in waking life. Science doesn't have a lot to say about dreams. But it can tell us with a high degree of accuracy how things are going to show up in sequence. And it does so referring to laws of the universe that we call the forces, that we call forces. But those forces could just be the rules of consciousness, could be the rules of awareness, how the contents of consciousness show up. How would it be if you saw everything as one thing? As the only thing. And that only thing colors itself in infinite varieties of ways, infinite varieties of behaviors, some of which we can call gravity, some of which in sci-fi we call the force. What if we saw the force as the primary thing, the primary field, say? And in this field, all activity, lightsabers, blasters, planets, stars, everything is a modulation of this field. But it's not a physical field like a physicist might describe. It's a conscious, alive, and I dare say, loving field. And within that loving field, amazing things can happen. Unexpected things. Okay, that's it for my Star Wars and non-duality video. I hope you liked it. Give a like or a subscribe if you're enjoying this stuff. Thanks. Bye.